Inside a climate-controlled storage facility at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, there's a row of gray boxes holding reels of half-century-old magnetic tape. Most people walk right past it. Archive clutter. Obsolete data from a program that ended before most of us were born. But hidden inside it is something that shouldn't exist. Because when researchers reopened these tapes, they found readings showing that the moon, a body we're told is cold, dead, and geologically silent, rang like a bell for almost an hour. Not a myth, not a metaphor. A measured, recorded seismic event. The tapes come from the Apollo Passive Seismic Experiment. Starting in July 1969, astronauts placed seismometers at 5 landing sites across the lunar surface. The network listened day and night until September 30th, 1977, when NASA switched it off mid-recording to save less than $1 million a year. It produced over 12,000 reels of data. Thousands of them were misplaced. Some were found decades later in a basement in Perth, Australia. It was recorded, it was archived, and then it was forgotten. If you want more cases like this pulled out of the archives, subscribe, because this one gets stranger the deeper you go. The first clue arrived on November 20th, 1969, when Apollo 12's ascent stage was deliberately crashed into the surface. The impact should have produced a short thud. Instead, the moon vibrated for roughly 55 minutes. When Apollo 13's spent rocket stage hit even harder, the reverberation lasted over 3 hours. For decades, scientists dismissed it as instrument noise. But that explanation has a problem. Every station heard it. Not similar signals, not echoes. The same event, propagating through the entire body of the moon. The second clue was buried deeper in the tapes. More than 7,000 quakes, originating 700 to 1,200 kilometers down. And here's where it gets strange. They repeated, same locations, same signatures, on a cycle of roughly 27 days, locked to the pull of Earth's gravity. The instruments weren't glitching. They were recording. Something inside the moon flexes every time it swings around us. The third clue made no sense at all. Shallow quakes, some near magnitude 5, with no craters, no impacts, no known source. They sat unexplained in the data for 40 years. Then, modern science found something that changed everything. In 2011, a team at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center reprocessed the original 1970s recordings using array techniques that didn't exist during Apollo. The result: evidence of a solid inner core, about 240 kilometers in radius, a fluid layer around it, and a zone of partial melt inside a world we called dead. And in 2019, researchers matched those shallow quakes to young fault scarps photographed by the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. The faults are fresh. The moon is shrinking, cracking, and still moving. The answers were sitting in a box the whole time, in a network that was shut down while it was still transmitting. Now, does this prove the most extreme version of the story? A hollow moon, an artificial structure? Probably not. The grounded explanation is that the moon is bone dry and cold, so seismic waves scatter and ring instead of dying out like they do on Earth. But that doesn't make the discovery ordinary. It means the moon preserves vibrations like nowhere else we've ever measured, and that it's tectonically alive right now. And if that's true, it means our history of the moon is missing a chapter, one that matters urgently. Because we're about to send astronauts back, possibly near active faults nobody has monitored since 1977. Which leaves one final question. In 8 years of recordings, there are signals that match no impact, no quake, and no spacecraft. What was the network hearing? Tonight, 5 seismometers still sit on the lunar surface, coated in dust, pointed at nothing, switched off mid-sentence. The tapes are still in their boxes, still waiting for someone to listen to the rest. If this pulled you in, like the video, subscribe, and watch the next investigation on screen now. because NASA's archives weren't the only ones reopened this year.